Hello and welcome to Haman Nature. I am Adam Haman. I'm going to be joined on this episode by Dr. Bob Murphy and also John W. Jesus Pollak to answer the question, is there an intersection between being a professional gambler and a wildly popular and successful YouTube influencer? The answer is yes. And in this fun interview, we delve into all of that. Please enjoy. Hi, Bob.
Hey, Adam.
I don't want to alarm you, but much like last week, when our borders were invaded by Jacob Hornberger, we have another interloper. Welcome to the show, John Pollock. How you doing?
I'm very good, Adam, and thank you for having me on. I've been a big fan of your crossover episodes lately, and Dr. Murphy, I've been following your economics work for 20 years. It's a lot of fun for me as a hobby.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks. Thanks. We appreciate that. Glad to have you on here.
Yeah,
It's my pleasure.
thanks for coming on. Please tell the audience what in the world you're doing here. Tell us about yourself and what you do, and why do you think we invited you on?
I think Dr. Murphy has some interest in casino gambling, and I was a professional video poker player for several years. And my friends and I started recording some of our casino gambling and putting it on a channel called Vegas Matt on YouTube. And that has grown a lot over the years, and that's kind of what I do full time now. And that's a lot of fun. We play slot machines and table games occasionally and record it and win and lose a lot of money. The premise is kind of what if you and your closest friends were to go to a Las Vegas casino with ten or $15,000 every day, what would happen? And some days we win a bunch of money, and a lot of days we lose a ton of money, but we have fun and hang out and chat, and it's become more and more popular over the last couple of years.
Yeah, it is a great channel. I just discovered it upon hearing about you, and I clicked around, took a look at it. It's a lot of fun. I can see you're number one in your space. Is that correct?
Yeah, we get a lot of views. We have become that over the last couple of years, yeah. But there are a number of people who do it, you're right.
You have any intuition as to why? What your secret sauce is?
I think Matt is very charming, and this is probably about the perfect job for him. I think his son EJ is involved. I think there's something attractive about the father-son dynamic, and then there's four of us, and we spend a lot of time chatting. So I think it's people are attracted to the gambling as well as kind of the almost podcast element of us chatting with each other. Where a lot of the other people, it's one or two people. I think that's a big part of it.
Can I ask just for clarification? So I knew of your channel, but I realized I don't know the answer to this question. I'm sure many listeners are wondering. Like, you're at a table recording. Like, are there other people there that just went to go gamble that day and they happen to be sitting next to you? Like, do you clear it with people ahead of time, or how does that work?
It was that for a long time. Logistically, it's gotten to the point where it's usually we'll be at a reserved table, which a casino will do if you're betting enough.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it gets weird if other people's faces are in the
Right. That's what I
the
was wondering.
video that
Mm-hmm.
they may or may not like that.
Especially if they called in sick that day and they're like, "Hey, well, how come I saw you?"
So you're playing a $500 hand of baccarat. You weren't sick.
Um,
But at this point, like, the casinos know who you guys are and they're happy to have you there because it's good advertising. Am I right in thinking that?
Most of them are happy to have us there. There's some that are, um, yeah, most of them are happy to have us there. Um, yeah, and we can promote their casino in a way. They'll see El Cortez or whatever the name of the casino is on the layout when we're playing, right?
so I've been a professional gambler. Well, not professional, but I gambled for a living for a long time, over 30 years. Most of it was poker, but I did spend a bunch of time trying to figure out a way to beat the casino in the pit or in video poker or in slot machines. And usually you figure out, what the house edge is on some particular venture, and then you look around for promotions or other things or they make a mistake and they're just giving you back too much. But it never occurred to me to overcome the negative edge of a house casino by taping myself play, recording myself, and then putting it on YouTube. So I guess Matt's kid just had a stroke of genius. Is that really how this whole thing got launched?
Yeah, we were all gambling together prior to launching the channel. Matt hit a really big royal flush, and I don't remember if it was 28,000 or just some big amount of money. And he's pretty charming and emotional. And EJ filmed it and made a TikTok video of Matt's reaction and the money adding up on the machine. And they went to dinner, and at the end of dinner, I think it had 40 or 50,000 views.
Whoa.
And you're like, oh, there might be something here. And um, I was less involved in that time, and I've become much more involved now. But I think it just played with a number of different formats and kind of ended up where it is, which is a 45-minute YouTube video every day and live streams a couple times a week, and uh, still TikTok videos as well.
That's fascinating.
Can I ask something real quick? I just noticed, Adam, you originally said that you were a professional poker player. Then you caught yourself and said, I played poker for a living. Is that something like among you guys that like as a professional poker player means something very specific?
I was referring in relation to the government.
Okay. Okay.
I think among poker players, it's just like, do you suck or not? Are you any good?
Okay. That's
Um,
I didn't know like if it meant like, oh, you have to go to the specific tournaments or something, or else it's like, no, you can't call yourself that.
No, nobody cares about that. No, I was like referring to tax status and whatnot. But yeah, this business model again, it just fascinates me. Are you an equal? Is it a three-way or a four-way partnership on the gambling endeavors? Do you guys all just chop that up?
It gets a little complicated. It's all our money, though, and it's not necessarily the same every day, but it
For
gets a little
sure.
complicated. But we're all
So, I'm
we're all
sorry to
invested
interrupt.
in. No, we're all
Yeah.
invested in the outcome. Yeah.
So, how do you think about how much you're willing to give up negative EV, expected value? Do you think about it as a percentage over a given recording time, or do you think about it as a dollar daily amount that you're giving up? The same calculation, or does it depend on what you're using the video for? How do you approach it, just as a cost benefit sort of analysis?
I think my buddy, we call WBG and EJ, are pretty smart with all that stuff, and they make most of those decisions. We're pretty public about how much we lose, and you're right about the EV. It's if we're playing slot machines, we're giving up 10% to the house, and if we're
Hmm.
betting 50 or $100 a spin, that's 5, $10 every time we push the button. So it does add up. In 2024 we lost $400,000, I think, and there's a website that keeps track of exactly where we are year to date, and I think as of this recording we're down 200 grand or something, and it's just inevitable. I think we're going to lose by the end of the year. um it doesn't really matter too much, fortunately.
You're getting comps and various things kicked back to you. I mean, when I was always making this calculation, the only thing I put into the equation is cash or free play, which I consider next to cash, depending on how you could play it off. Does any part of your business just well? How do you think about the comps? How do you think about the food and the hotels? And is that just gravy, or do you consider it as part of the cash flow?
I mean, we try to maximize everything we can get, like I think everybody
Sure.
does in life. It's all just part of the gambling, though, and it doesn't end up being a real substantial part of it, I don't think. But again, EJ and WBG deal with a lot more of this. I just kind of have fun and gamble with my friends on that part, despite my years of being a professional gambler.
We don't need to know
Can
what
I stop
EJ
you? Can I
stands
ask
for,
you
but
guys, just for people who, they understand the principle, like maybe they've been to a casino a few times in their life. Can you guys just give us a sense of the levels? Like, you're just someone who goes to Atlantic City or something just for the day with your buddies and you're thinking about spending the night. Like, how would it be? Like, do you have to ahead of time arrange and get like a card from them for them to comp you? Like, how does that work? Or if you just sit down and you're throwing in money and you get a bunch of chips, do they just come over and say, "Oh, we'll take care of your room"? Like, how does that work? Like, at what level do you got to be gambling in order for them to like cover your room or whatever?
I'm happy to answer that. it just depends. I mean, if you go buy in, it's with $10,000 at a craps table or something, a host will probably come introduce themselves to you. And if you wanted a room that night at most places, that would not be an issue. The way most people do it is they use their player's card while they're playing,
Hmm.
and the casino tracks all that, and they know what expected win is on each game, and they say, all right, well, you put, this much money through a slot machine, and our edge is 10% on that. So because you bet $5,000, we expect you would lose 500 in the long run. So we'll give you a room that would cost $200 or whatever. And then that the most common way people get that is after they've been home for a few weeks, they get a piece of mail from the casino saying, "Come on back, and we'll give you a free room and $100 in promotional chips or whatever the offer is."
Do you, in your experience, have most casinos switched over to that Theo model, that the amount you expected to theoretically lose, as opposed to your actual wins and losses, or is there a crossover, or do some places do it both ways, or do you know?
Most of them have some kind of hybrid. The theoretical loss is kind of the main one. That if you go in there and lose 5 or 10 grand, even if your theoretical's not too big, they'll usually give you something.
How did you manage to lose that much?
But it's like everything in life, it's just how big you are. If you lose 200, you're not going to get a whole lot of attention, right? It's really at the bigger levels where you're really getting the personal attention as opposed to a mailer spit out by a computer, right?
Speaking of big, your partner WBG, what does that stand for?
World's biggest gambler.
I don't know. Greg Raymer's pretty big.
Yeah, it's probably bigger. I'm sure there Kerry Packer. There's always a bigger level, right?
Yeah, for sure. I don't. I have more questions, Bob, but I'm sure you have some too. Do you want to jump in?
But no, go ahead. I'm curious. I need to get my footing more.
Um, I am shocked, and yet I shouldn't be, at just how many subscribers and views you guys have watching those stupid wheels, just those video wheels spin. And it's not even real reels anymore. You punch the button, and the game already knows exactly what your outcome is, and then it shows you this little 20-second video as if you're watching the wheels spin. And oh, look, I could get lucky here. Let's get lucky. And I think it's really dumb. And yet, as I was watching your channel, even I was kind of getting hypnotized and excited. Are they going to get there? Just kudos on you. There wasn't a question. It was just like, well done, people. I can't imagine this being popular, but it clearly is. So
Well, I think the games are a lot more exciting nowadays. And you're right,
they
it
are.
it does play a video. There's not physical reels spinning, and we often kind of shy away from the games that do have physical reels because they're less exciting. Um, but I think mathematically there is actually a reel, at least theoretically, and it actually picks a random spot on each of the reels, and then whatever you get, you get. So I think it's not rigged in that sense, right?
Well, no, not rigged, but like you don't actually need reels to spin. Do you think it is internally them spinning five hypothetical wheels and then adding up the position, or do you think it's I have one of 10 gazillion return states and here's one of them, and then play the video?
In most cases, I believe it is they're actually hypothetically spinning a theoretical wheel. That's not 100% of it, though. There are some where, like you said, it's almost like a scratcher box or something, right? Like they have so many outcomes, and you get a randomly selected one of those, and then it kind of arranges the reels to represent the outcome it's selected.
Right.
But that's
Okay.
unusual.
All right. I got kind of a two-part question. It's been a while now, but when they rolled out several years ago these variable state machines, it was pretty interesting. So first, I guess maybe talk about what that is, and then we'll talk about how things have evolved since that situation.
I think those games have existed at least 30 years and probably
Yeah.
longer. For example, it might be a game like there's a cherry bowl on
Yep. That's the
the
first one I saw.
on the top of the screen, and every time you land a cherry on the reels, it adds a cherry to the cherry bowl. And when you get 10 cherries, it gives you a bonus or $100 or free spins or something along those lines. And they call them variable state because you'd much rather find one with 8 or 9 cherries in the cherry bowl where you're about to win the prize versus 0 or 1. And there are
Yeah,
people who go around just looking for the ones that are close to hitting. And
Oh,
and
because
for
like somebody
and
will have been sitting there, and then maybe there's 6 cherries, but that person runs out of money or they got to go, and so they leave, and so now,
and for the
so the variable
viewers,
state means it's not just like one machine is equivalent to another one. That no, you want to go find a machine that's already got 6 on there. That's what your
and
guys are
for the
getting at.
viewers, like the machine is designed to hold whatever it is, 10%, however it's
Mhm.
designed, however it's set. But yeah, at any given moment on the floor, depending on where that cherry pie is, whether it's all the way full or all the way empty, the odds to the player are different. And so
Yeah.
when people figured that out, they'd run around and wait for the tourist who almost had the pie filled and then got called away to the show or dinner or whatever, and then just sort of ran out of money and they left. And now the thing is positive, where it was hugely negative before.
Yeah, and if you only were to play it when it's at 8 cherries or whatever in this theoretical machine, I'm not talking about any specific machine here, but then in the long run you would win money as opposed to losing as you would with most casino
Mhm.
games.
But the flip
So
side is you wouldn't be able to be playing constantly. You'd always just be scoping out for those few things. So like, yeah, maybe you could earn a positive amount, but you'd be working 8 hours a day to get whatever, $100 or
eight
I'm making
hours
up Yeah,
walking and 5 hours in
yeah,
or 5 minutes in action.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Gambling
But
is a tough way to make an easy living, Dr. Murphy, as they say.
that's how I end every show.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the insidious thing is there are still slot machines out there on the floor where they're variable state and you could see it on the screen as you poke around. But what got the machine makers figured that out and started making these visual representations of that kind of variable state progress that are not real. There'll be a meter to fill up a bonus or something, but the percentage of that the meter is filled does not represent, unlike the cherry pies of before, exactly how close you are to getting that bonus. So very sneaky.
They call that perceived progression, and we
Yeah.
often discuss that on our channel, actually. My friend Matt thinks the more perceived progression there is, that you should play that one more, even though he acknowledges that mathematically that's not sound. But I get it. It's more fun when the little piggy bank is huge and cracking and ready to explode, even though it
Yeah,
doesn't make a mathematical difference.
I think part of the
Wait, can I
secret.
just stop you guys? You're saying it'll show that like the piggy bank is filling up, and that has literally nothing to do with the
Nothing.
expected payout over the next hour.
Nothing.
On a lot of games, yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's not fraudulent because hey, we're not saying that, we're just showing you a picture of a piggy
It's
bank.
just a
What
picture.
who
Yeah,
could have
it's
thought
just
that has anything to do with yeah.
it's just a
Okay.
It's
picture. What
it's
would make you think that?
it's a representation of how long it's been since that bonus was awarded to somebody, is I
Oh,
think how
okay.
they would phrase
I
it.
okay, I get it. So, but it's not. I see. Right. So, like, yeah,
But
if red came up 10 times in a row and someone was keeping track on the chalkboard, you might think, oh, I'm going to bet black, but technically it's analogous to that. Okay,
yes.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those things are dirty, and I don't know if they're fraudulent exactly, but they sure are dirty. They know what people think when they see the pretty picture of the piggy bank that's almost bursting.
Well, as a
Um,
poker player, I can understand why you'd be very upset at there being deception in gambling, Adam.
I
That's
see
so.
what you did there. I see what you did. I didn't say upset, but like I'm much happier when it is accurate. That's why I kind of like the progressives. I'm sure everybody does, but what you see is what you get, at least as far as what the payoff is.
Now, just the girls that are dancing, they really do think I'm attractive, right? That's
It's
Certainly
more that
you.
okay.
it's more that you're charming and funny, but it all works.
Yeah.
They're in love with you. John, one of the things I just love about your channel is what you just referenced. Matt is clearly a gambler. He just loves it. He's got that itch for sure. I saw him on some other show talking, and he still goes down and just plays without recording or anything, just for the love of the negative EV game. I could never bring myself to do that unless, I don't know, somebody was in town or somebody just really wanted to go out and play. I find that I think the viewers can tell that the guy just loves it.
Yeah, he does. I think we all do, all four of us. We all really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, though. I mean, we all picked up our lives and moved to Las Vegas prior to this, right?
Yeah, I have
But
to admit I have that itch myself. Like if I'm playing even poker, I cannot help rooting for that river card that I need, even though I know it doesn't. I'm not accomplishing anything. I'm not changing the pattern of molecules in the universe, but I got that gambling itch. I just can't help. Plus, it's fun. It is fun.
Yeah, and I'll play games like Baccarat and such, which have a small house edge. I can't quite bring myself to play Dragon Link with a 10 or 15%
Woo!
house edge for recreation. It's just too big. It's too expensive.
Yeah,
Let me
my
ask a really basic question, you guys. This will show my purity that I don't play video poker. So, video poker, is there ever such a thing as it's not linking you with somebody else at a different terminal playing, right? You're always just playing the computer when you're playing video poker at a casino?
actually, well, yes, yes. And
Mhm.
video poker is usually just you with a deck of cards and a pay table, but they also rolled out something where you're actually playing. It's a completely different animal, but you can play limit and no limit hold'em against a computer out there in the pit. Also, they rolled that out like 10 years ago or something. It's fascinating. You're playing
And a
against
lot of
a one of four AIs in the version I saw, and it's wicked hard to beat.
Okay, and
wasn't in the beginning. A lot of people made a lot of money on those, but it's hard now. Sorry to
The
interrupt
very
you.
beginning. Yeah, I think they rolled out one AI, and once you figured out its ticks, you could beat it. The last time I took a look at it, they rolled four AIs in there, and you didn't know which one you were playing necessarily, which means, how do you judo against a thing where you don't even know which one this is? It's just made it much more difficult.
that surprises me. You guys are saying there was a period where they rolled out in it would be like if you were playing chess against a computer and enough like the
Mhm.
people who were good could you just beat the thing?
I mean, you figured
Yes.
it out pretty quick, but yeah.
Huh.
I
Okay.
never got a chance to play against that model, but yeah, I did hear about people that did.
Okay, so I
Um,
guess like unlike blackjack, or there's no built-in advantage. Like in other words, if it's simulating it, then technically they have to have the computer use strategy and whatever, and so therefore it could lose. Like if just your techniques are better than its because there's
do you
no
happen to know, John, what the machine makers at the casinos told the regulating agency about the hold of of a game like that? Because it's a completely different animal.
That's a good question. It's all a little before my time. My understanding is limit poker in particular is a solved game in the sense that much like blackjack, 16 against a 10, mathematically it's
hmm
correct to hit. Limit poker, it's obviously way more complicated because there's so many different positions, but it is solved because it's not no limit. You can only bet one amount. So the computer could play perfectly, but if you also played close to perfectly you would break even with the computer,
right.
and the casino was giving you a lot of comps for playing it. I think that's how people
Yeah.
were beating it.
I guess just because it seems like there's bluffing and I mean, I guess if you're playing the machine. Anyway, I'm realizing that with whereas other games like you're saying with blackjack or something like it's built in. Yeah, and if you play perfectly, you're probably going to almost tread water over time, but technically you still have a slightly negative, expected value as the player. Whereas with poker, I wasn't sure how that worked with betting and whatnot.
Yeah, limit hold'em is solved. I agree, and no limit is as well, from my understanding. If you assume solved, what solved means is they've established a game theory optimal
Mhm.
strategy that obviously, if you were playing against a human, you'd want to vary and exploit their mistakes. But just coming to the table right out of the box, having a game theory optimal strategy is solving the game. It's unbeatable.
And solved means they've determined in this particular position with these cards, you should bet 33% of the time and check the remainder or whatever, right? It's not you should always bet or always check.
And the version I saw also included the variable of I think they had it granular as one third of your stack,
Mhm.
or the pot, maybe one third of the pot, half the pot, three quarters of the pot, and full pot, which is pretty granular. I mean, it's not everything, but those things were pretty impressive. I never didn't play with them that much, but
Okay,
it's fun to
yeah, I'm just realizing that with the betting, like the strategy space, I guess with the term is really big
much
in
bigger.
terms of
Yeah,
okay.
but still, there are principles. If you deviate from them too much, you're probably exploitable. But these things, the way they trained it, one I saw was, I think it was called Poker Snowy, but there's an even better one that came out like a year later. But it trained by playing against itself for a gazillion iterations and just figured it all out. If you believe the AI guys.
Right.
um,
I mean, do they face a trade off though, where the casinos where if they make it too good, then nobody wants to play the thing?
Yes.
in the casinos, I never saw them go past that limit version, and I haven't seen that on the floor in a long time. Have you, John?
I haven't seen it in a long time. I probably wouldn't play it. I'm not the best poker player. Um, don't quite have the patience required for it. Although in heads up, it requires a lot less patience, obviously. But
Oh yeah, you got to be a maniac.
yeah, that's a problem, and that's a problem that casino operators face a lot, which is if a game requires some level of skill, you don't want to just beat the pants off your customers by offering by making it super complicated so they make a ton of mistakes and just lose very quickly because that's not a very fun experience. But so if you were to make that poker AI not play super well, then some great poker player like Adam's going to come in and play very effectively against it and then beat the
Hmm.
casino. It's a trade-off they face in a few different games, actually.
What others are you thinking of?
Well, for example, in video poker, for a long time there were pay tables in Las Vegas that were inherently positive.
Do
Like
you
the
remember?
first,
Sorry, man, I keep cutting you off. Do you remember the reserve that that
it's
turned
before my
into
time. It became the Fiesta
Fiesta
Henderson, and
Henderson?
now it's gone, right?
Yeah, when it was built, it was advertising on huge two-story signs, glittering neon lights that every single video poker machine in the joint, and there were hundreds, was full pay. By which we mean, if you understood the strategy chart and had that memorized, you could win money against the casino plus all the comps they were going to hand you out. And you'll be shocked, John. I know you know this, but Bob, that place didn't do very well. They had to sell to Stations Casino here in Vegas, who branded it, the Fiesta, and then COVID
Mm.
destroyed it. Now it's a pile of rubble.
Nah. But
What,
for
what,
example, oh, go ahead.
well, I was going to ask, was the mistake that they thought, oh, by doing that, we'll get a big enough crowd, and then enough
What they
people aren't that good, and they'll lose to cover, but then they just got hit with experts?
It's that Alexander Pope line. Drink deep or sip not from the well of truth, for a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. And they
Mhm.
knew that you don't beat the players out of what the theoretical house edge is because they make mistakes. They screw up all the time. Nobody actually memorizes these tables. Back when they built it, they probably didn't think there was such a thing. So they knew that they could give away a bunch of percent and still be able to beat the average player. But the trouble is, when you advertise full play video poker, you don't get any average players. You get John and me and
Mm-hmm.
500 other guys that are just going to clean your clock.
Yeah. I would
And
like the
that's
record to reflect that you could have just said, yes, Bob, that's what happened.
The first version of Deuce is Wild, if you played it perfectly, like was like 100.7 or 100.8%. But just so many people made so many errors because the
Uh,
strategy on Deuce is Wild is pretty complicated that the casino would still make plenty of money. And there was a casino in town here that 5, 10 years ago tried bringing that pay table back, and there were just people sitting on the machines for all hours of the day in teams that would lock it up around the clock and hand it off because that's what people
okay.
do. So they don't end up getting kind of the regular action at this point
Yeah, it's
with
pretty
those
sad.
games.
That's a hard thing about running a casino. You want to offer these promotions to attract more customers. But the trouble is, if you make them too good, you get the kind of business you just don't want. You got any fun stories from your time gambling, with or without the Vegas Matt crew?
Um, all my funnest stories have been with Vegas, Matt. I mean, gambling, it's when you gamble 8, 10 hours a day and you're trying to make a living out of it, it just becomes work like everything else. And you're stuck on some machine for 8, 10 hours because you got to play until the progressive hits or something. It ends up being a lot less glamorous, I think, than a lot of people think of Las Vegas gambling as being. Um, certainly some
Can
of
I
my
can I stop you even just right there? So, what you just said that you got to play this particular machine. So, is that a variable state machine then? Like for that to make sense?
really anything with a progressive, right? If you've determined that because on this video poker game, the Royal Flush progressive is so high that it's shifted the edge into my favor if I play it, right? And the longer you play it, the number just keeps going up, and mathematically, it's getting better and better and better. Because
Is it like the state lotto where if there's not a winner for a while, then the jackpot keeps getting big, and at some point it actually makes sense to go buy a lotto ticket? Is that what you're saying? That
yeah, typically the way it works is maybe point 0.1 or point 0.2 or whatever percent of your bet will increase the prize on the top and say the royal flush or
uh
whatever every hand. So it just keeps growing as you're playing it.
okay,
Right. So you're right. So mathematically, the bigger that prize is, the odds of hitting it remain the same. So it's just more and
okay,
more expected value.
I think
okay.
your
So
odds
that
of hitting it go down slightly because you also change your strategy at various inflection points based on the higher pay table at the top.
okay, but just to make sure, like, because I'm possibly confused, make sure the listener. So
Hmm.
that's different though. That's what people earlier when you guys were talking about the piggy bank that fills up.
Hmm.
That is not actually progressive. It just it gives the appearance of being, but there really are games where the longer it goes without the jackpot hitting, the jackpot is bigger. Am
Hmm.
I saying it right?
Yeah, I think so. So the variable state games are kind of like you said, we're at 8 cherries and it awards the bonus at 10. I guess you could call that a progressive. When we talk about progressives, we typically mean a slot machine, for example, say, oh, when you line up the 3 fiery 7s, you win $1,000, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
every time someone spins it, it goes up a dollar or 50 cents or
Okay. Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
When we use the word progressive jackpot, that typically refers to a specific dollar amount. Like the first
Okay.
time I ever
Mhm.
saw one was in video poker, and then they started adding them to slot machines, and now they're everywhere.
Okay. But earlier though, when you were talking about the misleading thing with the piggy
Whereas
bank filling up.
other bonuses aren't necessarily a specific dollar amount. You'll just know you get into the bonus phase, or you
Okay.
get a.
Okay.
So it's there's a slight difference there.
Okay. So John, you're saying that once you identify a machine, you're sitting there. It's not a sunk cost fallacy. It's not this thing. Well, I've been playing so long. I bet that no, it really is the case that the more you play, the higher the expected value, and so you really do have to sit there until the thing hits.
Well, everybody falls into the sunk cost
Right.
fallacy, right? They all say, "Oh, geez, I lost $5,000 on this. I can't quit now." But mathematically, it's true. If you determined that this is a good idea to play this because this
Right.
progressive's at $5,000, well, if you've been playing it 4 hours, it's at 5,500 or 6,000, so it's
Yeah.
worth even more money now.
To the point that if it's confined to a single machine or a single bank of machines, this progressive payoff, they will get commandeered by slot teams who just hand them off to each other and won't let anybody else ever get a shot at that.
No.
Like no random customer is going to come along and get a seat because these are taken.
How dense is that coverage? Like, is it just for the, you know what I mean? Like, if out you're walking around the floor, like I don't know. I think I'm just walking around the casino, like to the untrained. Like, can you guys tell who the professional teams are, or you'd have to watch for a while? Do
I'm
you get
out
what
of
I'm
the
asking?
game. I'm out of the game, so I don't know, but John probably does.
I can tell a tourist from someone who's looking for advantages.
Okay.
But but someone who's a recreational gambler is looks like they're having fun and they have a drink in their hand. Somebody who's working is walking with purpose and
Uh,
going from pinballing from the machines they're interested in and looking at them, right? It's not that hard to tell.
If you ever see a guy with a shirt pocket with a pen in it,
Mhm.
he's not a tourist. Um, do you have any particular feeling about the regulatory agency here in Nevada or elsewhere, positive or negative?
I've not had any need to interact with them, thankfully. Um, I hear I hear stories from people who do, and they say the regulatory agency is kind of toothless, but I think anytime you have a dispute that doesn't go your way, you might blame the arbitrator. Arbiter? Yeah.
Arbiter,
So
yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. Have you ever had any interaction with them, Adam?
Not personally, but I've heard so many stories. I'll tell one. It's pretty funny. Like if any casino operator just blatantly robs you, the enforcement agency is going to come down on your side. They're going to protect the industry overall, but they are tilted in the casino's favor. Here's an example. They're still in business, so I won't name the joint. But there was a casino, not on the strip, a locals casino here in Vegas, that made a screw up in their marketing department where they were giving away just way too much free play based on coin in or theoretical disadvantage or anything. Just giving away way too much. The word got out and people were just hammering them. And then the operator figured out what they'd done, and not only did they stop the promotion, okay, fair enough, they also said, well, we can't take away your free play. That's something you earned. But there's nothing here in these regulations that say how rapidly I got to give it back to you. So they put $1 a day limit on how much you could withdraw in free play.
Oh, jeez.
So, and everybody complained to gaming. Gaming said, nope, they're right. There ain't nothing in these here regulations to prohibit that. Which, of course, makes, $1 a day. Are you kidding me? I'll happily move along. No one redeemed any of that money.
I can tell you guys a stupid little gambling story that you just reminded me from my days. So when I was in high school, I got my hands on it was called The World's Greatest Blackjack book or something like that. And the guy had read like Ed Thorpe's stuff and whatever and compiled it. I can't think of the guy's name, but maybe he's legendary or something. They said maybe you guys know. I can't think of the guy's name. But anyway, so it was a standard card counting system. And so I taught my friends it. So you can imagine, like, I was the best at math and stuff when I was in high school compared to my friends. But so, I was always the one who could count better and everything. So we would go out and they would watch how I was betting and then they would just copy me because they would trust my count was better than theirs. And so we would go to, like, we were, went to Catholic school or whatever. And so the Catholic churches would often have festivals and then they would have gambling. But it was like, they expected you to lose. Like, the point was to give money to the church. You get what I'm saying? So, like, they would get really mad if you went in there trying to win. And so anyway, we're sitting and the game was totally rigged. I can't remember. It was like ludicrous. Like, they didn't pay more on blackjack and they had all kinds of, but for whatever, just because it was just cash or whatever. And so we're going and playing. It was more fun to do it out there than in our basement. And so we're sitting there and I'm counting and the deck is really positive. Like, it was, and so I bet big. They all bet big. And still, it's the kind of thing where it seemed like magic, like they weren't sure if they trusted it. And so the lady starts dealing. She deals us all face cards. And so I'm feeling relieved, like, okay, my friends aren't going to be mad at me that I misled them. She finally deals, like, the fourth guy a face card and just goes, wow, I need to shuffle, and picks up all the cards and shuffle. And we were kids, and we're like, hey. And then I'm complaining about it to this day. So that's how that
called
went.
the Pope, and you got that straightened right
Yes,
out.
she was excommunicated. So anyway, that's my story.
I'm sitting here wondering, like, mathematically, if the rules are that bad. They're just giving you even money on blackjack and not letting you double, not letting you split, all that. I'm wondering if the deck could get rich enough that it's positive. I mean, maybe if you took every little card out or something.
Right, yeah. It might not have been maybe it was like restricting the doubling or something, but it was definitely a very disadvantageous game, but we were just playing because of the novelty. Because we weren't allowed to go to casinos. This was before, like, the Indian casino opened near where I grew up and stuff. So anyway, but yes, the counting worked, at least it seemed to, and she just stopped and said, I need to shuffle. And I was just outraged.
She discovered what we call preferential shuffling. That's what that's called in the casino world.
I won't retell the story because I already did it on one of these crossovers, but I got a very talented blackjack buddy who found himself one day beating the heck out of a blackjack game and being very confused about what was going on with the count until he looked over and saw the automatic shuffler. So he quit ordering drinks and went home.
Let me ask one. I can come in here. All right. So again, this is very basic. So let me just understand, Adam, when you said you used to play poker for a living, like, you're playing against other humans, and that's how if you're better than them on average over time, you win money. But you were playing at does the house, were they skimming off the top? You know what I mean? Like, how did that work? Can you just explain? You're playing in a casino. Is the house always getting some per hour on average? And then so you have to be that much better than the average other player?
Trying to decide how to tell a joke about being a solipsist, and I don't play against other humans. There's no such thing. But yes, the whole point about poker is you're playing against regular old humans who don't have anything to do with the casino, and they take either a per half hour or a per pot rake. They charge a fee for providing their services. So, in order to be a winning player, you have to beat the other people by more than you pay for your share of the rake. Yes.
Okay. And then John, in general, what you guys do, you're not sucking money out of the hands of other players per se. It's you in the long run lose to the casino, but you more than make up for it because of your YouTube channel. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah, YouTube revenue is is pretty good when we get a lot of views. And we have partnerships as well.
I assume that that's going to only grow, right? Like, I think I heard Matt talking about how it used to be that casinos are pissed off that you're bringing, recording what's going on. And as they've seen how attractive and popular your channel is, I think more and more are going to come to you and maybe offer you various types of promotional deals or this and that. I assume that's going to grow, not recede, right?
I hope so. That sounds awesome.
um, all right. Well, I don't have any more stock questions, but if you've got any, I'm sure you've seen and done a bunch of crazy stuff out there on the floor. Any tales you want to regale us with?
There was, I mean, there's a lot of stories of I was playing not too long ago and I was playing very big, like $200 a spin. And I hit a $44,000 jackpot. And within half an hour, I was only up 3,000 by the time I was done playing what I was trying to play.
Wow.
Right. There's stuff like that that's very frustrating. And then sometimes it goes the other way. You're just King Midas and you can't stop losing. And you get three five-figure jackpots in a half an hour or something. Um, I'm trying to think. Gosh, it all just blends together so much. I know there was a funny instance when we were playing in California. We were trying to record playing a certain game, and Matt hit the wrong button and played something we weren't planning on playing and hit a $55,000 jackpot. So that was a pretty good mistake.
Wow.
We were on a live stream the other day, and EJ did something similar and hit a $5,000 jackpot, accidentally spinning. Stuff like that's always funny because usually you just lose the money.
I have a
How
question. Do you have any advice, like for listeners who, like, say someone like me, they were young. What happened in my case is we were young. We'd be playing in my parents' basement because we had a nice furnished, like with a bar and stuff. So my place was great to play cards, and we just couldn't wait till we had real jobs and had real money. We are going to go to the
Mhm.
casino. And then when we did, we were afraid to lose. It was like, no, I had to work 40 hours for this. I don't want to go.
That's
But it's the point. So for people who the idea of, yeah, I guess a bunch of my buddies and go somewhere, like, do you have any tips? Like, should it be Vegas or are there other places? And again, I realize, anyway, just any tips for somebody who they like the idea and let's go have a fun trip that's casino based. Any tips for someone who hasn't done that and they're a first timer?
yeah, and a lot of people will say, "Oh, you should play this game instead of that game because mathematically it's slightly better." I tend to eschew all that. I think you should accept that you're most likely going to lose whatever money you have and view that as the cost of entertainment and play whichever games you enjoy best. Um, if it's a few hundred or a few $1,000s or whatever your budget is, or maybe it's $80. Um, just kind of accept that that's gone when you walk in. Just no different than going to a movie or a ball game. But at the
Mm-hmm.
movie or the ball game, there's zero chance you come back with more money. So that's the fun of the casino. Um, if you enjoy gambling and you're looking for a good deal, I actually think sports betting is a really good deal mathematically. The house edge is around 5% on most bets. There are exotic bets where it's a lot higher. But you make that one bet and then you watch the game for 3 hours and you bet $100 on the game, you expect to lose 5, $10 in the long run, and it keeps you entertained for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's better than any hand of cards or blackjack game or whatever in terms of kind of bang for your buck. I think a lot of people are intimidated by table games. They want to play and they're a little afraid they're going to have poor etiquette and get yelled at and violate some rule they don't know. Um, I would really encourage you to try it. Table games are a lot of fun and they're social And especially if you just go up to the dealer and say, hey, this looks like fun. I've never played a table game before. How does this work? They'll tell you what to do, and they're happy to help you, generally speaking. And so I'd encourage people to try that if they see somebody playing a game that looks like fun. Um, and you're not going to look like an idiot, especially if you kind of announce, hey, I don't know all the etiquette when you first sit down. Those would be the bigger tips I would give.
Okay, yeah, that's good, helpful stuff.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the right way to look at it. It's an entertainment expense. And just as you could spend way too much on video games or golf or any other thing, don't go nuts. Don't go chasing your losses. And I'm kind of lucky, I guess. When I discovered gambling, I was immediately thinking of it in terms of positive or negative EV. So I just never got interested in things that were losers, which is to my detriment. It never even occurred to me to film myself playing a loser and then become rich and famous on YouTube. You stupid, you stupid. So well done, John. Anything else you'd like to direct our viewers to, or final words of wisdom, John?
You can follow me on Twitter at RealW2Jesus. You can check out our channel, Vegas Matt, on YouTube. We have a second channel where we do our live streaming, if you prefer that, which is called Vegas Matt and Friends. We have a lot of fun. If you enjoy gambling, I think it's fun content. And the great thing is that we lose a ton of money and it doesn't cost you anything to watch. So it's a very cheap gambling experience.
Can confirm those channels are a fun watch, I must admit. All right, well, thanks, John. Bob, thank you as always. Ladies and gentlemen, check out our show notes for those links at bobmurphyshow.com or on my channel, Haman Nature. And you can also find them at hamannature.substack.com. And we will catch you all next time.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, John.
Thank you, gentlemen.